Veterans Day is a day to honor those who have bravely served for the good of the country. It is vital to recognize these courageous people for what they have done to keep this nation safe and free, as well as spreading this hope of freedom to others around the world. The heroes, victims, and sacrifices of war are essential for everyone to appreciate on Veterans Day. There are a few personal factors that have made me place an extra level of respect on veterans. My grandfather, Foster Nichols, was a lieutenant in the Navy during the Korean War, and he has shared a number of stories depicting what life was like as a member of the armed forces. Often, war stories seem distant and surreal, but my granddad's stories have life because he tells them firsthand. With all I have learned, I commend the American soldiers for all of the rigorous training they have persevered through. On Veterans Day, I think of my granddad's stories and am thankful for all that soldiers have done throughout the years to ensure the security of our great nation. Also, my great-great-great-grandfather, George Sylvester Nichols, was a 4-star general for the Union in the Civil War. What he did was truly consequential in shaping how our nation is today. He led troops at a time when our country was bitterly divided and could hardly even be called the United States. But with people like him leading the Union to victory, the country became a better place in the long run. Although war is not usually an appetizing first choice to bring about peace, sometimes it must be waged. With heroic people like General Nichols, success can be achieved in war, and this success must be commemorated. Although Veterans Day is important for recognizing these heroes and leaders, there is also room for others to be recognized. Not every war is a terrific success. There are many futile battles resulting in needless loss of life. Books like The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien have illustrated the kinds of brutalities that can occur in war. He showed that there are often more victims than heroes in war. His novel told stories about soldiers in Vietnam, many of whom did not believe there was just cause for them to be there in the first place. Even in defeat, these soldiers were brave in carrying out their duty and should be commended for their efforts. Many parallels have been drawn from the Vietnam War to the conflicts taking place in the Middle East today. It is sad to see the effects that the Iraq War has had in the population's outlook on today's soldiers. Regardless of whether one thinks the troops should keep on fighting or be sent home, the courage of the troops must still be appreciated. The troops have fought to bring order and freedom to a dangerous, violent, and unstable region. It is an extremely tough task, which contributes to why such a vocal mass of people has protested against the war centered on achieving this seemingly lofty goal. I have a great amount of respect for these soldiers who have fought in spite of the controversies of war. It is important to realize the great sacrifices soldiers have made for noble, selfless causes in war. It is fitting to see these people receive great honor on Veterans Day. One recent story along these lines stands out in my mind. Pat Tillman, a highly talented NFL player, turned down a lucrative contract in order to serve his country in the Middle East. Instead of becoming a millionaire athlete fighting on the football field, he went to fight on the real battlefield. Tragically, he died on a mission in the Middle East, but in death, he became a hero. He has deeply inspired many with his selfless desire to fight for his nation and the increased stability of other nations. There are better athletes than he who will never see their numbers retired, but his name and number hang in the rafters of his home stadium because what he did was so much more important than a game can ever be. He made the ultimate sacrifice, and he is not alone in doing so. It is the ultimate sacrifice for a reason, since it is unfathomably difficult to make. The sacrifices soldiers have made in war must be remembered on Veterans Day, for they require a level of resolve that is truly commendable and can serve as an inspiration to us all. The many facets, rights, and wrongs of war can be debated endlessly, but it is important to realize the role that veterans have had in our nation. They have provided security and defense against evils in the world. Without an army, our nation would have never gained its independence. We could have been invaded or bombed on a number of occasions were it not for the strength of our armed forces. Violence is awful, and the world would be a better place without it, but when there is a vicious enemy, sometimes there is no alternative to war. whether or not there is great cause behind them. The sacrifices that soldiers have made deserve great praise. Veterans Day is a time to give these people the great honor they deserve for their service to their nation. Thank you.